The cold marble floors of St. Donovan's Hospital gleamed under the fluorescent lights, but kindness was nowhere to be found. A young black woman stood at the reception desk, clutching her mother's medical file, her voice trembling as she said, "I just need to know if my mother's been admitted." The nurse didn't even look up. The security guard sneered. The crowd stared. They saw a poor girl in worn sneakers. They had no idea they were humiliating a billionaire. And before the sun set, every one of them would regret it. It was a rainy Thursday in downtown Chicago, the kind of day where the clouds hung low like heavy thoughts. The entrance of St. Donovan's Elite Medical Center shimmered with glass and marble, a fortress of wealth and white coats. Inside, a young woman stepped hesitantly through the automatic doors, her jeans damp, her hoodie pulled tight against the drizzle. Her name was Ariana Cole. To anyone watching, she looked like just another working-class girl, tired, polite, and out of place. But what no one knew was that Ariana was the youngest self-made billionaire in Chicago, the CEO of a global tech firm she'd built from scratch. She wasn't there to flaunt her wealth. She was there for her mother, who'd collapsed at home and been rushed to the hospital earlier that morning. "Excuse me," Ariana said softly at the reception desk, holding out a crumpled paper. "My mom, Lucille Cole, was brought in through emergency an hour ago. Could you tell me what room she's in?" The nurse, a sharp-faced woman in pristine white, barely glanced up. "You'll have to wait. We're busy," she said flatly, her tone dripping with disinterest. I just need to make sure she's okay," Ariana pressed. The nurse sighed loudly. "Ma'am, patients' families can't just walk in here without clearance. Please wait in the public area." Behind her, a security guard crossed his arms, scanning Ariana from head to toe, the scuffed shoes, the worn-out hoodie, the natural curls tucked under a baseball cap. "Miss, this area's for patients of the premium wing. Maybe check County General," he said with a smirk. Ariana blinked, stunned. The lobby full of onlookers fell silent. In that moment, humiliation burned through her like acid, but so did something else. They'd see soon enough who they were talking to. The hospital lobby buzzed with polished chaos, heels clicking, phones ringing, nurses rushing past like clockwork. But to Ariana, every sound blurred into static. She stood frozen in front of the reception desk, the sting of humiliation crawling up her spine. Her voice cracked as she tried again. "Please just tell me if she's stable. I'm her daughter." "Ma'am, you're disrupting the desk," the nurse interrupted, finally looking up, her eyes narrowing. "You can't just demand updates. People like you need to wait your turn." "People like you." The phrase hit her like a slap. Around her, heads turned. A couple in designer coats whispered, a doctor passing by frowned disapprovingly. Ariana's chest tightened. She could buy this entire hospital 10 times over, but right now she wasn't Ariana Cole, the billionaire visionary. She was just a young black woman who didn't look like she belonged here. "I'm sorry," she murmured, her voice trembling. "I'll wait." The guard leaned closer, his voice low but sharp. "Listen, lady, don't make a scene. We've got real patients here. You looking for free care or something?" Her eyes lifted slowly, and for a fleeting second her billionaire composure cracked. "Excuse me?" He smirked. "You heard me." Her fingers curled into fists, but she said nothing. Years of boardrooms, investors, and cutthroat deals had taught her that silence could be more powerful than shouting. Still, the silence burned. She walked toward the waiting area, a stiff, sterile space filled with overpriced coffee and anxious faces. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was her assistant, Maya. "Miss Cole, should I send the driver?" Maya's voice came through, calm and efficient. Ariana's gaze flicked toward the glass doors where the guard still watched her like she didn't belong. "Not yet," she whispered. "Something's off. I want to see how they treat people who don't look rich here." There was a pause on the line. "You mean you're testing them?" Ariana exhaled, half a laugh, half a sigh. "Maybe, or maybe I'm just tired of being invisible when I'm not in heels and silk." She ended the call and sank into the plastic chair, her reflection in the shiny floor staring back. Humble clothes, rain-soaked hoodie, eyes tired but burning. The PA system crackled overhead, announcing a code blue in the premium ward. Nurses rushed past again, and Ariana noticed something, a janitor pushing a mop, whispering softly to a crying mother nearby. He was the only one showing kindness in this temple of indifference. She made a quiet note to remember his name. Because deep down, Ariana knew today wasn't just about her mother's illness anymore. Something was about to break wide open, and when it did, no amount of marble or money could protect them from what was coming. Minutes dragged into an hour. Ariana sat motionless in the waiting area, her fingers tracing invisible lines on the cracked armrest. Every time a nurse passed, she looked up, hopeful, only to be ignored again. The humiliation sat heavy, like a stone in her chest. At the front desk, the nurse laughed with another receptionist, flipping through patient charts. Ariana could hear snippets. "Can you believe the kind of people that just walk in here?" Yeah, looks like she came straight from the subway. Her jaw clenched. Her mother's name, Lucille Cole, was somewhere on that list, and every minute wasted felt like a betrayal. Finally, Ariana stood up and walked to the counter again. "I'm sorry," she began, steady but firm. "Please, my mother's condition is critical. I just need to know." Before she could finish, the security guard stepped between them. "Miss, I told you, you need to wait outside." "I'm her daughter," Ariana said, her voice low, dangerous. "You're keeping me from her." The guard crossed his arms, towering over her. "You don't look like anyone from the Cole family in our system. Maybe you got the wrong hospital." That did it. The lobby fell quiet again, every head turning toward the commotion. Ariana stared up at him, the contempt, the arrogance, and felt something inside her snap. "You know what?" she said softly. "You're right. I don't look like anyone in your system." She turned and walked toward the door. "But don't worry, you'll remember me." The guard snorted. "Yeah, sure. Next time bring insurance." Ariana stepped outside, the cold rain splattering across her face like the universe washing away her restraint. She took out her phone and dialed a number she hadn't planned to use today. "Ms. Rivera," she said when her head of legal answered. "Activate Protocol Gold." There was a pause. "Understood. Are we engaging media or just internal compliance?" Ariana's lips curved into a calm, dangerous smile. "Both." Back inside, the hospital's chief administrator, Dr. Raymond Price, was in his glass office sipping espresso when his intercom buzzed. "Sir, there's a situation in the lobby, a woman causing a scene." He sighed. "Handle it. I don't have time for—" His phone vibrated. The caller ID froze him. Cole Industries Legal Department. He answered, his tone instantly shifting. "Dr. Price speaking." "Good afternoon," said a smooth voice. "This is Ms. Rivera, head counsel for Cole Industries. Our CEO, Ms. Ariana Cole, just left your lobby after being denied medical access to her own mother. Expect an internal review, legal notice, and possibly media coverage." Dr. Price went pale. "I beg your pardon, Ms. Who?" Rivera's tone turned icy. "Cole, as in the woman whose foundation funded your cardiology wing." The espresso cup slipped from his hand and shattered. Across the lobby, the guard was still smirking, until 5 minutes later when every staff member's phone buzzed with a message that made their blood run cold. Effective immediately, all St. Donovan's staff are to cooperate fully with Cole Industries personnel arriving for an emergency audit. The sound of tires screeching against wet pavement cut through the drizzle outside St. Donovan's. A black Escalade rolled up to the emergency entrance, flanked by 2 SUVs bearing the sleek Cole Industries insignia. Doors opened in perfect sync. Out stepped men and women in dark suits, legal, PR, and security. Inside, murmurs rippled through the lobby like a gust of wind. Phones came out, heads turned, and then she walked back in. Ariana Cole. Gone was the damp hoodie and modest sneakers. She now wore a tailored black trench, diamond-studded cufflinks glinting under the hospital lights. Her presence alone shifted the air, composed, cold, almost regal. The same nurse who dismissed her earlier felt her pulse spike. Dr. Price stumbled out of his office, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Miss Cole, what an unexpected visit." Ariana's gaze pinned him in place. "Unexpected?" she said, voice calm but lethal. "My mother collapsed this morning. She's somewhere in your care. I asked for help, and your staff treated me like I was trespassing." The nurse's voice cracked. "Ma'am, I didn't know who you were." "That's the problem," Ariana interrupted. You shouldn't need to know someone's bank balance to treat them with basic respect. A heavy silence fell. The security guard who'd mocked her earlier took a nervous step back. The PR director from Cole Industries began filming the interaction, making sure every second was documented. Dr. Price cleared his throat. "Miss Cole, please, allow me to personally escort you to your mother's room. She's stable now." Ariana's jaw tightened. After an hour of being ignored, after being told to check County General, she took a step closer. "If this is how you treat people without privilege, your entire system is broken." Behind her, a small crowd of patients and family members watched, the overlooked, the unheard. Someone clapped softly, then another joined. Within seconds, the whole waiting room was applauding her courage. Ariana blinked hard, her voice trembling for the first time. "My mother spent her life cleaning floors in hospitals like this so you could walk them without shame. She deserved better." Dr. Price looked down. The nurse's eyes brimmed with tears she didn't deserve the right to shed. The guard swallowed hard, suddenly smaller than the mop bucket beside him. "Effective immediately," Ariana said, turning to her assistant, "Cole Industries will fund an independent patient care audit of this hospital. And I want that janitor, the one who comforted that mother earlier, promoted and compensated fairly. He's the only one here who remembered what humanity looks like." With that, she walked past them toward her mother's ward, the applause fading into stunned silence. For the first time in St. Donovan's history, the walls of privilege trembled, and the people inside finally realized who'd been standing among them all along. Ariana stood by her mother's bedside, the rhythmic beep of the heart monitor filling the room like a quiet metronome. Lucille Cole looked fragile, a contrast to the vibrant woman who'd once juggled 2 jobs to raise her daughter alone. Ariana reached for her hand, her fingers trembling. "Mom, it's me," she whispered. "You're safe now?" Lucille's eyelids fluttered open. "Ari," her voice was thin but warm. "They said you came. Are you okay, baby?" Ariana blinked away tears. "I'm fine, Mama. You just rest, okay? I've got everything under control." Lucille smiled faintly. "You always do." Then, with a sigh, she drifted back into sleep. For the first time that day, Ariana exhaled. The strength she'd been holding together in public melted away in private. Her reflection in the hospital glass looked calm, but inside the old wounds stung. Years of being underestimated, dismissed, and told she didn't belong. Behind her, the door creaked open. Dr. Price entered, hat in hand, humility replacing arrogance. "Miss Cole, I can't express how sorry we are. It should never have happened. My staff—" Ariana cut him off gently. "Your culture, doctor, not just your staff. You've built a system where compassion is selective." He nodded, defeated. "I understand. We're starting an internal review immediately. And the guard, the nurse, they've been suspended pending investigation." Ariana sighed. "This isn't about firing people. It's about changing how you see people." Her tone softened slightly. "But thank you for doing the right thing." Outside the door, cameras flashed. News crews had arrived. The story had already gone viral. "Black tech billionaire humiliated at elite hospital" blared across phone screens nationwide. Reporters huddled in the lobby, shoving microphones toward anyone in scrubs. The hospital board panicked. Donors called in outrage. Social media exploded with hashtags. #Justice for Ariana, healthcare equality. The once untouchable institution was suddenly drowning in scrutiny. The nurse who'd mocked Ariana sat trembling in the staff lounge, her phone lighting up with hundreds of hateful messages. The security guard stared blankly at the screen as his face appeared on national television, replaying the moment he told her to check County General. Karma had arrived, not quietly but roaring. Back in the ward, Ariana looked out the window at the press below, her reflection overlapping the skyline. Power wasn't about money, it was about voice, and hers was echoing far beyond the marble halls of St. Donovan's. Her assistant Maya stepped in. "The media's requesting a statement. Should I handle it?" Ariana shook her head. "No, I'll do it myself." She glanced one more time at her mother, peaceful at last, then turned toward the door. Her steps were slow, steady, resolute, the kind that meant a reckoning was coming. This wasn't just her story anymore. It was every person's story who'd ever been judged by their cover. And Ariana Cole was about to make sure the world never forgot it. By evening, the front of St. Donovan's Hospital looked like a movie premiere. Reporters swarmed the steps, camera lights flickering against the marble pillars. Everyone was waiting for the woman who'd turned the nation's spotlight on privilege and prejudice. When Ariana stepped out of the elevator, she wasn't the same woman who had been humiliated that morning. Her posture was unshakable, her gaze calm and commanding. Dressed in a sleek navy suit, she carried the quiet authority of someone who had been through the fire and come out made of steel. The press surged forward as she walked into the lobby. Flashbulbs popped, microphones extended. A reporter shouted, "Miss Cole, how does it feel to expose discrimination in a place meant to save lives?" Ariana paused before the cameras. "It's not about me," she said firmly. "It's about what this moment represents. Today I came to this hospital as a daughter, not a billionaire. And what I experienced was the reality millions face every day when compassion is replaced by class." Her words rolled through the room like thunder. Even the staff who'd once ignored her stood frozen, their faces pale. "I could sue," she continued, her voice steady. "I could shut this place down in a week, but that won't fix what's broken. So instead, I'm starting something new. The Cole Foundation for Dignity in Healthcare. It will fund training programs, patient rights initiatives, and scholarships for underprivileged medical students. No one should ever be treated as less than human because they look like they can't afford to be sick." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Reporters scrambled to capture every word. The nurse who'd once mocked her stood nearby, tears streaming down her face. "Miss Cole, I'm so sorry," she whispered. Ariana turned to her, not with anger but with weary grace. "You should be," she said softly, "but be better tomorrow. That's what matters now." Dr. Price stepped forward. "We'd be honored to partner with the foundation, Miss Cole, to reform our systems." Ariana gave a curt nod. "Good, let this hospital become the example, not the warning." Just then a hush fell as Lucille Cole was wheeled into the lobby, awake, frail, but smiling. "That's my girl," she said weakly, her voice carrying through the hall, always turning pain into purpose. Ariana rushed to her mother's side, holding her hand. The cameras caught it all. The billionaire and her mother, two women who had survived both poverty and pride, standing as symbols of grace in a world obsessed with appearances. Outside, the storm had finally cleared. Golden sunlight broke through the clouds, pouring through the glass doors of St. Donovan's. And in that light, Ariana's reflection didn't show anger or revenge, it showed transformation. A woman who'd been humiliated in silence that morning now stood as the voice for millions. 2 weeks later, the marble halls of St. Donovan's looked different. Not because of renovations, but because of change. Posters promoting the Cole Foundation for Dignity in Healthcare hung proudly in the lobby. Staff now greeted every visitor with genuine warmth, not scripted politeness. Compassion had finally been reinstated as policy. The nurse, once cold and dismissive, was now shadowing the janitor Ariana had praised, learning from the man who'd shown true humanity. The guard who'd sneered at her had been reassigned to community service, working with patients at a free clinic under a contract personally sponsored by the Cole Foundation. The ripple of kindness was spreading. In a quiet hospital garden, Ariana sat beside her mother, watching sunlight dance across the water fountain. Lucille smiled, her hand resting on Ariana's. "You know, baby," she said softly, "your daddy used to say, 'Power ain't about what you have, it's about what you do with what you have.' I think he'd be proud of you." Ariana looked up at the skyline beyond the garden, the same city that had once doubted her, now whispering her name with respect. "I didn't want revenge, Mama," she murmured. "I just wanted them to see us." Lucille chuckled. "Oh, they see you now." Ariana laughed through a tear, feeling a peace she hadn't felt in years. The weight of humiliation, anger, and injustice had lifted, not because the world had changed overnight, but because she'd chosen to be that change. As the scene faded, her voice echoed in narration, calm, resolute, filled with meaning. "They say money opens doors, but I've learned that dignity breaks walls, and sometimes the richest thing you can be is kind." The camera panned up to the Chicago skyline, glowing gold in the evening light, the city reborn, one act of grace at a time.